And now, we talk about food. It's the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
Welcome back to the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL. I'm your host, Tiffiany. Here we talk about all the food happenings around Acadiana. If you like food, tune in. You might learn something new. It is the Sunday before Christmas Eve. Next Sunday is Christmas Eve. This is our last show of 2017. We're going to be taking the next 2 Sundays off to celebrate the holidays. I'm super excited because I'm going to be spending it with my family this year. I'm going to be in Minden, Louisiana, and getting treated right by parents and grandmother there. So I'm super excited about that. And I just wish that the holiday vibe spirit would last year round, because I get so happy and I really like people and I appreciate people. And I know the holidays are really hard for a lot of people out there. So it's nice to just sit back and think about what the holidays are really about. And for me, it's family, being appreciative of loved ones, and just reflecting on what's happened in the past year. And it's a good time to kind of just slow down and kind of appreciate everything around you. And I wish also that every day could feel like a holiday Christmas party at work, because that's just how it should be. I had my work Christmas party last night. I'm a little bit hungover doing the show today. Spent the majority of the day in bed. And I have to say, getting older, the hangovers get worse. And I never expected that, but working through it, and we're going to truck on. Joining tonight as guest co-host is Micheal Rutherford. He is a psychic medium that is residing here in Lafayette, Louisiana. And we're going to be talking a little bit more later into the show about exactly what he does. We're going to kind of tune it to be somewhat food related to go with the show. But I'm super excited to have you, because I know that you love food and you and I talk about food so much anyway. So I was like, he's going to be a good guest regardless.
I am so excited. Thank you so much. I definitely am quite the foodie, and in what I do, it comes up quite often. And so when you offered, I literally jumped and said yes at the same time.
Yes, I'm so excited. When you agreed to do it, I was like, this is going to be perfect. And it's our last show of the year, so it's going to be great. To kind of recap, I did a lot of eating this past week. Most recently, today I went to Zoo House. I feel like I always have to say it in a very militant voice because it's German. So I feel like I always have to go Zoo House when I say it and do hand motions. Zoo House Bakery, they did a little Christmas brunch today, and it was their first time doing something like that. So there were a little bit of some hiccups. Food was good though. Learning lessons for things to do differently for next time. And one of the thing that brought me in was they had a tater tot waffle.
Oh, wow.
On the menu. So when I heard that, I was envisioning the tater tot waffle that I see floating around on social media. Bon Appetit did a little video on how to do it, where you take actual tater tots, you line them up on a waffle, you do the flat iron, you do them like that. That's what I was imagining. These were not like that. These were actually potato latkes.
Oh, okay.
So they were kind of more of a pancake, and they were flat. They were delicious. They had this cheddar cheese bechamel sauce on it, and then it had bacon.
Oh my!
And then to kind of trick yourself into balancing the heaviness of that, it was served with a beet plum salad, which was delicious.
That sounds
to go
amazing.
on the side of it. And then I got a fried egg, and I have to say the fried egg was really good too. I could tell that it was a local egg, you could tell by the yolk, and it was just a perfectly cooked fried egg. So it was delicious. The person that came with me got the savory French toast. So it had goat cheese and a blueberry sauce on it. And then he also got an egg on it too. And it was really good as well.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
I am upset that I missed out on this.
Yeah, they were packed. There was a lot of people there. It was really good. And then so they do European style pastries, and every time I go in there, I just get mesmerized. There's nothing that I love more than a bakery counter, to look at all the desserts and pastries. So I took some home. I brought you the flourless chocolate cake.
And I've already eaten half of it.
It was good?
It was amazing. It literally just So flourless chocolate cakes tend to be a little more dense, like fudge, like you're eating just a slice of fudge. This literally just melts in your mouth like it's cloudy and soft, and it's so cocoa-y. And that's what I love about chocolate, like good chocolate, because it's not so sweet. It's that chocolate flavor. And this was just, I just kept biting into it. And I'm like, I'm going to save a piece for later when I'm home by myself doing this naughty thing.
Nice. I got the strawberry cheesecake, and it's a French style cheesecake, so it's a little lighter. It's not like so dense, and it almost reminded me of a strawberry shortcake. Like it was kind of like moussey. It was so good. I have a little bit of a stomach ache because I had that brunch, I had that, and then I also got a chocolate croissant. Like looking at their croissants and thinking back to those broke down, sad, pathetic croissants attempt that I made a few weeks ago, I was just like, this is what it's supposed to look like, and mine didn't look anything like that. These were beautiful. And so their chocolate croissants, so a lot of times when you have a chocolate croissant, they'll just put the chocolate on the inside. Well, they put the chocolate on the inside and they put chocolate on the top. So it's kind of like over the top, and it was delicious. So Zoo House, they're open. They have like really good hours. They're open 7 days a week, and I think they're open until like 8 or 9. Nice. All that week. Yeah. With me starting grad school in January, like I'm looking for different coffee shops to pop up to like study at, and that's going to be one of them. So definitely go and check them out. Also, exciting news that as of this past Friday, every Friday on KAD and Fox 15's Friday morning show, and around the 8 o'clock segment, I'm going to have a little food segment, because on Fridays they talk about food. And so I'm going to come on every Friday around the 8 o'clock segment to do like a little segment on food. And this past Friday was my first one. And it was fun. It's very different than radio.
Yes.
Yeah. I had to get up and have like full hair and makeup, and most of the time when I'm doing the radio show, I'm in pajamas. So it was a little different on that. And it goes by super fast because I'm used to describing a dish and going into a lot of detail. And it's like quick, to the point, fast, go, go, go. But that's something exciting that's happening. And you can look for that every Friday around 8 o'clock. And then I posted the video of the segment on the Lafayette Food Junkie Facebook page. So you can go and check it out there in case you didn't see it. But it's super fun. It's super different, and I'm excited to have this opportunity to go along with that. Some of the other places that I ate this past week, I went to Patacone Latin Cuisine. You said you have never been there.
I haven't been there.
Okay.
But,
you've had arepas before.
Yes. I love Venezuelan food. I get, when I go to Houston to work, there's this wonderful food truck by where I work, and it's like legitimate Venezuelan food. And every time I'm there, I make a point to schedule myself an hour and a half off so I can go get it and really enjoy it. This is just amazing. Like, oh. I
had time to kill yesterday before my hair appointment, and I didn't want to eat a lot because I had, the work Christmas party that night. So normally when I go, I'll get an arepa, and then they also have Patacone sandwiches. Have you had one of those? So the Patacone sandwich is, the bread is smashed plantains, and it's like real crispy and hard, and it's just like a giant sandwich like
so what
that.
What you're saying is I'm going to go tomorrow.
Yeah. Go and check it out. It's really good. So I normally get both of those, and I'm kind of super stuffed. So I got just an arepa, which best part of the arepa is when you get to the cheese. Like the cheese and the cornmeal dough. It's just like, that's the best little spot. And then I decided they had plantains to go on the side. And she was like, do you want cheese on them? And I said, yes, you put cheese on everything pretty much.
Absolutely.
Like whatever. So delicious. So they do their plantains super thin, and then they fry them, and they were all crispy around the edges. And then they have the cheese on top. So it was like the salty and the sweet of it all. It was delicious. So I was like, I'm getting this every time I come, like to go on the side. They also have something there that is, it's like their version of a cheese stick almost. It's a giant cornmeal patty that they put all this cheese in, and then they fold it over. So it's like almost like a quesadilla looking thing almost.
Oh my
yeah.
God. That
and
sounds
had I saw that, that's probably what I would have gotten instead of the other two things, but still super happy with what I got. So that's Patacone. They're only open until about 8 o'clock. They're not open on Sundays, but they are on Waiter. So if you're having trouble getting over there, when they're open, you can get them delivered on Waiter, and everyone should go and check it out. All right, we are going to take our first break, and when we come back, we have more with Sean Micheal. So come back to us. It's the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL. Welcome back to the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL. I'm your host, Tiffiany Deku, and joining tonight as guest co-host is psychic medium Sean Micheal Rutherford. I always know that my guest is going to be good when during the commercial breaks we're like geeking out heavy on food. We were just talking into elaborate detail about this burrito that you had on the food truck in Houston. Yeah,
I work in Houston every now and again, and I was at this place and doing readings. And I was like, I'm really hungry. So she's like, oh, there's a Venezuelan food truck across the street. And so I go, and whenever I go somewhere the first time, I get them to make it however they make it. I don't ask for anything special. I literally got back. It was so thick and like full of stuff. I had to open it up and eat it like a bowl of food. It was probably one of the greatest things I've ever eaten in my entire life. I did a pork belly that had a pork burrito and had black beans and all the lettuce and everything that you would normally see in a burrito. And then these amazing sauces they made. And one thing that I get here, like when I go to Houston, I now am very particular about this Venezuelan or Mexican food because it's so different than here.
Yeah.
I could taste everything. I could taste the spices they put on their pork belly. And it was such a marrying of different flavors, but you could taste them all. And now when I go back, I literally go out of my way to schedule an hour and a half of free time.
To go to that truck.
To go to that food truck. It takes like 15 minutes, but I need an hour and a half.
Nice.
To enjoy this burrito.
Oh, man. God, that sounds so good. So this past week, I went to a taqueria. It's called Taqueria El Patron. It's on University towards Karen Crow. And I went, and this is going to be a lesson in getting out of your comfort zone. And when you get outside of your comfort zone, you find really amazing food. So I went in there because I've had several friends that go and they've gotten a torta. And if you don't know what a torta is, think of it as a Latin version of a po' boy. That's the easiest way. You're like, no.
Oh, I'm ready.
Oh, okay.
No, that sounds amazing.
Ready. So I got there and it was full. Like they were super packed. It was all construction worker guys, like because they're doing a lot of construction.
That's always
on the highway there, and they were all getting the soup. Like they had a soup on special today, and it was like you ladled your own soup. They would heat it up for you. They would give it to you with tortillas. Like that's what all of them were getting. I walk up, and they could immediately tell I could not speak English. So they got the one girl that worked there that could kind of speak English to help me. So this is the thing. If you speak Spanish, go here because you're gonna do great. If you don't speak Spanish, go there to kind of experience what it's like and get out of your comfort zone. So I went, she came, and I mean the menu's in English. So I ordered the Milanese torta, which is like the breaded steak torta, and it had like sour cream, avocado, cheese, onions, lettuce, and it comes on this little, it's almost like a football shaped bread is what the torta bread normally comes on. So I ordered that. And then the main reason why I wanted to go there is because I found them on Facebook, and they were advertising this Mexican hot chocolate. And it's actually like a Colombian style, and it's almost like a horchata where it has like the rice flour in it. It's like thicker, and it's going to have like cinnamon and those kind of spices in it. They were advertising that they had this kind of hot chocolate. And so I said, do you have the hot chocolate? And she didn't understand what I said. And then I like pointed, I said, 1 second. And so she said, okay. So like I pulled up my Facebook, and like she was helping the other gentleman that had walked in. And then she came back to me, and I was like, do you have this? And I said, I think it's called Cambarado or something like that. And it has the name on the picture. And I was like, do you have this? And she's like, oh, no. She's like, they have that on Saturdays and Sundays. So I'm going to have to go back on a Saturday and Sunday to check that out.
Yes.
And they have all the Mexican style sodas, which are delicious because they're made with cane sugar instead of high fructose corn syrup. So they have Jarritos or Doritos. Funny story on that, and that I'll get to. Got the torta. It was good. I like the torta bread better at La Pagua, which is on Johnson Street. It has more of a sweetness to the bread. I will say, like the guts, the ingredients of the torta I liked better at this place, but I liked the bread better at La Pagua. So they were both good.
Do is you go to La Pagua, ask them just for the bread,
and you go over there and get it. Yeah. Went to check out, was like so proud of myself because I was like, torta, Milanese torta, Doritos. Because in my head, I thought and was A like it is in French. She looked at me very confused. So then she looked at the other worker, and so she was like, so she knew I had the torta, and they were like discussing about the drink. And she's like, did you have a drink? And I said, Doritos. And she said, Doritos. Because I forgot that the J-A is actually a ha in Spanish. So then like I left. I was like, yeah, that was really bad. But it was fun.
But
because
you tried.
I tried, yeah. And it's all about getting out of your comfort zone. And if you really like food, that's what you have to do. Because that's the only way you're going to be able to experience truly authentic food and try new things. And so next time I will try the soup because that's what everyone in there got that day.
With a lot of what I do, I have people who get in these like stagnant ruts and want to figure out what to do. And I usually tell them to take what I call a me day. And I do these at least once a month. And the me day is all surrounded around doing something that you normally wouldn't do. Go have dinner somewhere where you normally wouldn't go. And that's a prime example. You got there and it really kind of broke up your energy for that week, because here were you in this moment. Yeah, you said it incorrectly, but you tried.
Yeah.
But there was also this learning experience and a connection you have with these people because they saw that you were trying, but they also got to correct you a little bit and be, okay, we're teaching her something.
They were so nice. When I walked in there, though, they were very much like, what is this white girl doing in here? But they were so nice about it. And they helped me and it was fine. I survived. So, yeah, go check them out. Taquieri Al Patron, and it is on University towards Karen Crow. It's like a little shop. They also sell boots, which is random. They sell tacos, pupusas. They have different plates, tortas. The tortas is what they are known for, though. And then you can also get some boots if you need some of that. I kept saying, like, man, if people would go and try this, like they would not eat at places like Chewy's. I was like, why would you eat at Chewy's when places like this exist? And one of my followers was like, free nacho bar. And I said, oh, you got me there. They do have a good free nacho bar. So for happy hour in the bar, they have a it's a free nacho bar. Like you go make nachos.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you're wanting a happy hour, margaritas, free nacho bar, Chewy it up. If you want like real authentic Latin food, go into these taco trucks, go to these taquieres, and go and check that out. All right, we are going to take another break, and when we come back, we're going to have more with Shawn Michael. So come back to us. It is the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
From Boudin to the best burgers Acadiana has to offer, it's the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
Welcome back to the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL. I'm your host, Tiffiany Deku, and joining me tonight as guest co-host is psychic medium Shawn Michael Rutherford. So we're going to kick off, and we're going to say, first off, explain what a psychic medium is, if no one's familiar.
So a psychic medium is someone who, well, as a medium, I work to connect with loved ones who've crossed over, who've passed away. As a psychic, I do spiritual counseling, advising with seeing things that have gone on in people's lives in their past or what is coming up. But as specifically a medium, I deal with a lot of people who are going through with grief. You lose someone who's very close to you. I work to help them realize that they're okay and help them see that they're still on the other side. I have been doing this for some years. I've actually been working as a psychic since I was 16, as a medium since my mom died about 4 years ago. And I healed through seeing a medium, actually, and they brought her through, and they gave me all these details that they never knew about my mom. And I was like, okay. And I started taking classes in it, understanding it better. I've always seen and gotten spirits. And when I started doing mediumship, it really changed a lot of things because it was really helping people. And grief is one of those really hard things to heal from because there's so many stages of it. And so, yeah, what we do is we see and connect to spirits. And one of the ways that we can do that is something that's called clairgustance. And clairgustance is actually receiving messages about taste.
Oh,
and
okay.
so, which is why I was really excited about coming on your show, because food is a big thing to mediums. Because I had a client once whose grandmother made this something called a Kentucky pie, and it had like brown sugar and molasses and all this stuff in it. And it was very dense, and I was talking to her, and I could taste this pie, and so I described it to her. She's like, my grandmother made that all the time. So when I go somewhere and eat something, I always think about like what loved one would come through and give me this food. And so that's kind of how I started becoming a really big foodie in my life. And so that's what I do. So, I talk to dead people.
I remember, I think I met you. You did a spirit gallery at Tribe Collective, I want to say back in August.
Yes.
Maybe it was August. And that's when I first met you. And one of my friends had came through, and she basically told me that I was living my life as an old lady. And I was kind of like not understanding what she meant. And then it was funny because like a few days later, I was sitting in bed and it was like 9:00 at night. I was watching Netflix, and my dog and my cat were on either side of me. And I was just like, well played, Kayla, well played. And I just remember thinking, because like no one really knows about Kayla. Like I have, not really talked about her passing on social media. And like there was very specific details, because that's how you do it. Mm-hmm. Like and you ask people like to just say yes or no, and
yes,
not to go into
strict
detail. Yeah. Although sometimes that's hard.
It is. I notice that when I ask these questions, so I tend to ask in very closed-ended questions, which come to a yes or no. And I can see that blank slate hit their face. And I tell them, if you don't know for sure, just nod at me and I'll get the information later. But generally, I already know the answer. I'm just asking to get, get you to communicate more. But we ask these very specific questions. We ask, when I say ask questions, I'm asking the spirit questions. Mm-hmm. So it's, male or female, what's the relationship? Mother, father, brother, sister, friend, grandmother, grandparent. Then it's how did you pass? Because that's a very significant validation there. And that can be illness, that can be sudden, it can be old age, it can be suicide, murder, all those things. And then we ask for memory links, which is like, my grandmother always would see me and she'd always give me this little lollipop. Or I would always go with my dad to the park and we would do this specific thing. Those are these memory links that you have with this person. And then we give the message at the end, which is just, this is what they want you to know. This is what's going on. And then it just kind of becomes a conversation. Do you have anything else you want to know from them? And you get advice from them. And what's so great about it is you get advice in a way that only they could have given it to you. So like a grandmother might be more invested in your well-being, mm-hmm. whereas a friend might be like, why don't you have a man yet?
Right.
And that's what's so fantastic is because sometimes your grandmother might come through and then you might see a meeting again like 3 months later, and then it's a different person who's passed who has a completely different message. So, but yeah, we tend to give really specific information.
And that brings me to, so the next time I saw you was at, again, a spirit gallery at Tribe for Halloween. Mm-hmm. And then my grandmother came through and you immediately go, this is my favorite kind of spirit.
Yes.
It's a grandmother. You described her. And I immediately knew it was my grandmother. And I remember, because you have to do the questions to kind of narrow it down. And I remember at one point, you looked at me like you were like, this is, and I'm like, can we just say that this is my grandmother? Because it kept just getting more and more specific. And you said that you could actually taste.
I could taste the food.
So you knew that she was a baker from that.
I could taste flour. And so not only could I taste it, but I could see her standing next to me, whisking stuff in a bowl. And I was like, oh, she was a baker. But just for a little more information. So a spirit gallery is when you go and there's 15, 20 people there and I'm working to connect with whoever comes through. And it's really great because sometimes people are nervous to go see a medium one-on-one. So we do these galleries where there's 20 different strangers, or it can be all friends. And it allows us to pull all kinds of different people through. But yeah, she came in and I could taste the flour. I could taste the baking. Actually, I could taste baking soda and all the different things that you put in bread and baked goods. And then I saw her whisking these dry ingredients together and then going to add milk. And I was like, oh, she was a baker. And the reason why I love these kind of spirits so much is because you could tell she was very animated and she gave me so much so quickly. And there was something that not that she looked like you in life, but she made herself look like, kind of like you. So I knew that I was going to you. And then after, she was standing behind you the whole time. And so, yeah, I could tell that you kind of like,
I remember like face. I specifically when you said Julia, and I'm going to start crying now thinking about it, like just burst into tears because I remember like right after she had passed, like I was going through her pictures and I was watching Julia, and I was like coming up with this idea of like taking her recipes and like doing something with it with a food blog. And then you started to basically say that. And I had never told anyone that. And I just like started crying from that. So from that spirit gallery, I then started baking successfully and unsuccessfully.
You were completely successful because you baked it and you did it.
Yeah, I did it. The croissant, we won't talk about the croissant, but like it's been fun, and it's helped me learn a lot about myself and like what I'm capable of doing, and just like the joy and love that comes with baking something for someone and having someone love it and like be appreciative for it. In fact, because of all this baking, like my mom and dad specifically asked for baked goods for Christmas. So when I go up to my grandmother's house next weekend, I'm going to be baking for them. And I mean, I just need her for her to through you or something, or through a dream or something, to give me her cinnamon roll recipe, because this has been like a family thing, because like that's one of the things that she was known for, her baked breads.
Okay, so she says something about how the butter's specific.
Yes, and she doubled the butter, because we know that, and she also added honey, because that was the name of her catering business. Honey does it.
She said something, but the type of butter and everything was specific. Like,
okay,
I feel like she would use like real butter. Like there was never margarine in her fridge, and like it tastes very creamy and kind of sweet.
Okay,
and like I just bought some like Irish butter.
Oh yeah,
the
Kerry
day,
Gold is the best.
And I was like, I bought some Irish butter, and I almost kind of taste that, where it's really sweet, and there's this very like I don't know if you can find local butter.
Yeah, you can. There are a few places that do it.
But there's something about, like she says, the butter's very important.
Okay, yeah. And my grandfather will like remember little things, and he'll tell me. And actually, I'm hoping that I'm going to get to see him during this holiday time. He apparently has found more of her recipes.
That's awesome.
So I'm like hoping it's in there, because like that has been like the big thing with the family, is like finding the cinnamon roll recipe. Also, I love that like she had 5 shortbread recipes, and one of them is labeled the best shortbread recipe.
I remember that at the gallery. She would talk about how she would get a recipe and then she'd later perfect it, realizing that she could do better than the original.
She wrote a lot in the notes. It's also been great because it's like all these like clippings of like old newspapers and magazines. So like seeing all the different things has been interesting too. And then I found her catering contacts from like when she had a catering business, and then some of the recipes are like so not specific. It's like a dash of this and a dash. And I'm like, so I always tell people now, like, if you're going to make recipes for someone, like be very specific with it, especially, you know, in cases like this. But it's been fun. Like I sit there with the cookbooks and I go through them, and I'm like, okay, like what am I going to do this week? And like, what's speaking to me this week? And some of it has been her recipes and some of it hasn't, but it's really made me love to bake. And I'm going to perfect yeast breads. Like that's like the bane of my existence, is yeast-based breads.
Well known for that. We lived here in Lafayette for a while, this apartment building, and the mailboxes were right next to our apartment. And when she was stressed, she'd make bread. And which is also why those figures come in really easy to me. And for her, there was this, you could tell that she was really in the moment with every single process, because you try to get her to do something else and she's like, no, I have to finish this first. And she never rushed it. And my mom was not somebody who was necessarily rushing anything in life, but she definitely got things done as quickly as possible for the efficiency of it all. But with bread, her whole system would slow down. She'd become more about, no, this is something you have to take time with and enjoy. And my mom was a great cook, but when she would bake, people, their whole disposition
Yeah,
changed.
you told me that. Just like people coming around and smelling the bread and that, yeah.
And so and I think that's the difference between baking and just cooking. with cooking, there's a lot of things that can happen with cooking. It could be the best date of your life or the worst date of your life, depending on how well you cook. But with baking, there's I find a lot more love, unconditional love goes into baking, because it's never just a throw everything in a pot. It's a let it unfold, put this in, work it, put your energy into it. And I think that's why that was a big thing for you to do, is because if you can show that love to the bread, you can definitely show that love to the self. And that's what other people need to get, that's what it is about baked goods.
I fully admit, like, I'm a go fast. I want to do this fast. If I can't do it perfect the first time, I don't want to do it. And baking bread is a lesson in, like, slow it down, and it's a process, and you got to take your time, and it's going to not be perfect, and, you're going to have to practice and work at it, kind of thing. So it was definitely a psychological lesson in there of making the croissants. But I think I want to try. I said I was going to do like a white bread or like a wheat bread or something like that. I have not made bread. I made it once when I was in high school, and it didn't rise. Like, that's always my issue. Like, the yeast does not rise.
The yeast hasn't fully blossomed.
It does not rise. And I remember when I made it last time, I was talking to her about it, and she was just like, yeah, she's like, that yeast is a tricky thing. It takes time, kind of thing. So that's like, and then I also decided to do the croissants like when the cold front came too. So we didn't have like that warm, humid environment to allow for it to raise. But they weren't that bad. They just did not look pretty at all.
My mom would always, in winter, she would preheat the oven, and she'd let it get hot, and then she'd turn it off, and she'd wait a little bit, and then she'd put the bowl with the bread that needed to rise on the oven.
Okay.
She's like, because it's warm and it's right here, and that's going to rise, because we didn't use the heater in the house, because no. And so it would rise, and it would be perfect, because as it cooled, the moisture would change and everything. And I don't know how she did it. It was magic. But my mom never had a problem getting
it was
bread,
perfect
that
all
yeast
the time.
bread every time. And as far as I can remember, I can't remember ever seeing her mess up bread.
Yeah.
And we would do like 5 different kinds every time we baked. And so that was always interesting, because it was just like watching, you watch the ballet, and it's every step is so methodically planned out. That's how it was watching her bake. And so, yeah.
Wow. Going back to talking about how amazed and awe I get at bakeries and like looking at the pastries. I remember one time going to a grocery store with my grandmother, and they had like this really beautiful cake, and it had like a lot of layers, like real thin layered cake. And I was just like, that is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. And my grandmother came up behind me, and she was like, I can do that, and it's going to taste so much better than that. And that's kind of her attitude. Like that was like, that is my grandmother's attitude, like in life, is that like, I can do it, and it's going to be better than that. So another learning lesson.
Confidence. There.
Yeah. All right. We're going to take another break. And when we come back, we have more with Shawn Michael. So come back to us. It is the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
She puts the wow, yum into words. It's the Lafayette Food Junkie herself on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
Welcome back to the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL. I'm your host, Tiffiany Deku, and joining tonight as guest co-host has been Shawn Michael Rutherford. He is a psychic medium residing in Lafayette, but he's moving soon to New Orleans, but he said he's still going to be coming back to Lafayette.
Of course.
Okay. Let's plug where people can find you, get more information, contact you. Let's plug that real quick.
Sure. So I'm on my Facebook page is Psychic Medium Shawn Michael Rutherford. It's facebook.com/Psychic Shawn. I also have a website, and it's spiritedme.weebly.com.
All right. And you do more stuff in Metairie right now.
I do a lot of stuff in Metairie. Like so when my mom passed, when I started taking mediumship classes to basically understand how to do this instead of it just being wild and random, I met this amazing teacher, Sid Patrick, from the Metaphysical Resource Center in Metairie. and started training with him, made amazing friends. I've always loved New Orleans, and I have just really seen what it is to be able to thrive out there. And now the opportunity is coming, now that I'm working more to move to New Orleans, and I am not going to let it go.
There you go. But you're still going to come back.
Absolutely. I will have every month. I teach an intuitive circle where I help people understand how to use their intuitive abilities. We all have it, whether it's a gut feeling that says take a left instead of a right. I teach that class, and so I will definitely be coming back a weekend a month to Lafayette and teaching the circle and seeing clients that weekend.
So one of the things we kind of wanted to talk about with the theme of what you do and the food show is to possibly do some kind of food predictions for 2018.
Okay.
Since this is our last show of 2017, and you had a few.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one thing that I've been feeling in the amp up in the food industry is not so much from the worker standpoint, but from the consumer standpoint, is this need and this desire to understand where the food comes from. Locally sourced, not just that, but I want to know that it came from the United States, or it came from Chile, or it came from Venezuela. People are starting to realize the emotional and semi-spiritual connection of food, and that you kind of gain something from eating these foods from different places in the world. So that sense of knowing exactly where it came from is important. I'm also feeling this change in 2018 going into 2019 as people being a lot more intrinsically involved with the preparation of the food. Like, I don't want to just get something that's pre-made. I want to go through the process of making it myself and it be fresh. Because people are starting to see how much time with friends and family that allows.
Mm-hmm.
So food isn't just, well, I want to hurry up and get what's easy. I want to get what's good. So that's going to spike up a bit. And I also feel like spicy foods are going to be really big in 2018 because I'm starting to taste peppers.
Okay.
And which is that Claire Gustins I was telling you about before.
Right.
And I can smell the chili in my nostrils. And so spicy foods, because this year has been up and down. And
that's a good way to put it.
Yeah. I feel people are needing to find that passion for life again. And that is so easy found when you eat really spicy foods, because that heat starts and the breath starts getting a little more rapid and your pulse gets a little bit higher, and you just start feeling alive. And so that really can be found in spicy foods. So I feel that that's going to be people trying new spicy foods, and differences between like black pepper and chili powder and chili pepper and red pepper and all that.
What is the weirdest thing that you've tasted in a reading before?
So I was doing a reading for someone, and their mother was not a good cook.
Oh.
Not
Yikes.
at all. There's two. So she was not a very good cook. This was probably the weirdest one for me, because I could taste like what was like a cream puff, because I could taste the flaky pastry, and then I could taste the sweetness inside. The pastry was really salty.
Ooh.
And they're like, oh my gosh, we loved her so much. We didn't want to tell her how bad it was, but she would make it and it was really salty. I was reading for someone I think it was in Houston, and they were of Mexican descent. And all of a sudden I start tasting like a menudo. And that's the one that has the tripe and everything.
Yes.
Right? And I start tasting this tomato-based soup, and then I taste fish, and I taste some sour notes, and they're like, oh, my mother made this Spanish fish head soup, and it was the weirdest thing. It tasted amazing. It really, really did. It was like a sweet and sour kind of thing, but all of a sudden I could just taste tomato and then fish, and I was like, oh my God. And then I started seeing all the stuff that was going into the pot. I could see the fish head and everything. And she's like, oh, she would get fish and she'd fillet it. And then she'd freeze the bones and everything. And then she would make the soup later. And she's like, she had tripe in it, all kinds of different stuff. And it was this family thing that her family had made. And that was probably, to date, the weirdest thing, because I've never had to tell someone there was fish heads in the soup.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't know how to. And so she's like, she said it was like a menudo. And but it was a family thing that they had made, and it tasted amazing. And she said, "Oh, it was loved, but it was weird for me."
What are some of your favorite places to eat around town?
So, I have to get out of Lafayette just a bit. I know you're a Lafayette food junkie.
Yeah, no, because we were
I'm
talking
from
about
New
some
Iberia.
place. Yeah.
There's a place in New Iberia that I really have to rep on really hard is Brenda's Diner in New Iberia. She's on Pershing. This is a woman. She's an older lady. She's had this little lunch place for quite some time, and her food is amazing. It's total soul food, but she'll do like Fridays, catfish, and all kinds of different foods. Everything's different each day of the week. But you go in, and it's very small. You kind of miss it. And you walk in, and where you sit, like wall to wall is pictures of all her family, her kids graduating, her grandkids graduating. Her family's there helping her run this place. And it literally has like 5 tables in there. But the place is packed from 11 to 1.
Wow.
And she's the nicest lady. Like she's been so busy, and her daughter wasn't there to help. And I've actually gone up and taken orders for her and delivered food.
Oh, wow.
And she's amazing. And it's some of the best food I've had. Like, since my mom passed, I don't cook as much anymore because I work so much. But when I need that home cooked meal, I go to Brenda's.
Okay.
And it's only for lunch. And then as far as in Lafayette, I am really, I'll be honest, I have a hard time getting outside of the mainstream. And in Lafayette, I tend to stick to like diners.
Mm-hmm.
Because for me,
there's nothing wrong with diner food.
I know.
Yeah.
I stick to the diners because I want this sense of like, I know the waitress, I know the people. So that's what I go there for first. So of course I'm always at Mel's Diner because I've been there eating there since I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And it reminds me of my mom and dad and I going there. And I actually came out to my mom at Mel's Diner when I was 16. And so there's these memories there. But we're talking about Mexican food and Spanish food today. I've had the best tacos at this Mexican market. I can't remember the name of it, but it's on...
Is it on Cameron?
No, it's going out towards the highway right here.
La Morienta.
Yes.
Okay.
I went there. I was working with the guy, and he's like, I said, I want some tacos. He's like, go here. And it's a market, and they have the little cafeteria. I haven't been there in years, so I don't know if they still do. Amazing. And I was like, I had cow tongue, and it was fantastic. And that's what I ordered, because I love ordering weird stuff.
Yeah.
Ordered cow tongue. Couldn't have told it was tongue. It was absolutely delicious, and I was thrilled to go there.
Wow.
So I
haven't been there yet. I have not. I went to El Ranchito, which is on Cameron, but I have not been to La Morienta, and I've heard that they have really great tacos.
And it's funny because now I know how my clients feel when I ask them questions, because I was like, I had places to talk about so ready, and now I'm going completely blank.
Yeah, right?
And I'm like, thanks. I'm now put completely on the spot.
You went to Peking Garden recently, and
Yes.
so they have all you can eat sushi. So you want to talk about that?
Yes. Okay. So I'm a sushi fanatic. I love sushi. I go to Sushi Masa in Baton Rouge all the time with lunch on Sundays, because they're all you can eat, and they have amazing rolls. Amazing. So I wanted to find one in Lafayette, and I was recently told about it by a friend of mine. And so I went. It was $20. The rolls were really good. I definitely wish I would have gone earlier in the evening. I didn't make it there. They closed at 10. I made it there around 8:39.
Mm-hmm.
So I could definitely tell that what they were using had kind of been there since the beginning of the dinner shift. They were delicious. Sushi Masa definitely has a much larger menu of rolls. But what I did order from Peking Garden was good. I like that they have the small appetizers. They have...
Yeah, I was looking, because you had posted a picture of the menu, and it looked like even the appetizers were on there.
So there's about 6 appetizers, I think, maybe 8. One of them is a snow crab salad. One's a cucumber salad. One's a seaweed salad. They have the gyoza dumplings. Then they have edamame. And all of that's unlimited, too, just like at Sushi Masa. And this was $20. It came out to $22.77, which I really liked because of the numbers, with my tea. And the people who worked there, a guy named John was my waiter. He was absolutely fantastic. I sat in a little room, and I could watch the guy making the rolls. And come to find out, the record of the most rolls eaten was 12. And so I'm going to fast all day and go eat. And try to beat that.
Nice.
I'm not going to, but, I tend to order salmon and eel. And I was very happy with what I got. And the Hawaiian roll was my probably my second favorite.
Nice. I did not even know that they did all you can eat.
I didn't either. Apparently, it's something semi-new, maybe this year. But sushi masa is still my number one in Baton Rouge.
Sean, thank you so much for coming on tonight. We're going to have you on again because this was so much fun. All right, that's our show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Join us next week, Sunday at 6 p.m. This is Tiffiany Deku on News Talk 96.5 KPEL, and this is the Lafayette Food Junkie Show. Thanks for listening, and as always, happy eating, Acadiana. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.